Manx Radio Sport.
A very good evening, welcome back to Friday Sport Preview with me, Rob Pritchard, with you until 6:30pm here on Manx Radio. Half an hour of the latest sport coming your way as usual, looking ahead to this weekend and beyond, coming up tonight. The 2023 Parish Walk gets underway tomorrow. We hear from the race director about the excitement ahead of the event. What a week it's been for Manx cyclist Lizzie Holden becoming British National Time Trial Champion. We get her reaction to clinching that prestigious title this week. And we're continuing our countdown to the 2023 Ireland Games in Guernsey. Coming up, we hear from the Isle of Man's basketball and swimming teams. That is all to come this evening. Well, before we begin, just a quick update on the Special Olympics Isle of Man team competing at the 2023 World Summer Games in Berlin, the event running until Sunday. Well, today they've taken another gold medal at the Games. Nicola Woodbridge took the top spot in the bocce singles competition today with her teammate Julie Naylor finishing 6th. Elsewhere, the two paired up to take part in the bocce doubles beforehand finishing 5th. Rebecca Maller has also finished 6th in the long jump, and we've also heard in the last few minutes that Laura Oram has won bronze in the bowling, with Elizabeth Tinkler taking 5th position in that competition. So congratulations to the athletes once again today. OK, well, after another 12 months of waiting, the Parish Walk is back once again this weekend, and as ever, scores of people from the island and beyond are expected to be involved in the event during Saturday. Getting underway at the NSC at 8am tomorrow, those taking part will look to take on all or part of the huge 85-mile walking route around Manx shores. The many hundreds out there will be doing so for a variety of different reasons, some competitive, some looking to improve their personal fitness, others in aid of important causes, and some in it to enjoy the social occasion. Well, the man behind getting it all organised once again in 2023 is race director Ray Cox. So with just over 12 hours to go until it all starts, I caught up with Ray to find out how excited he's feeling about it all ahead of the big day tomorrow.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly it comes around. Tomorrow is the big day. We've got everything organised. We've been meeting regularly since last September, so it's a long build-up, but the pressure and the amount of work we do just racks up. So these last 2 weeks are very busy for the entire committee, but tomorrow is the day, and we're really looking forward to it.
Just give us an insight maybe into what goes on behind the scenes. Like you say, it is the majority of the year is taken up with trying to get this event together. There are lots of different aspects. Just what's the scale of the amount of work that has to go into this?
Well, if we just take the marshalling, Winston Liu is the chief marshal. He'll have 200 named marshals out tomorrow. They all have to be briefed, they all have to be given instructions. So that's one section, so he's the chief marshal. The course has to be marked. Alan Callow takes care of that. We've got obviously the registration that happened on Wednesday and Thursday, and all the secretarial work. Liz Carn and Karen Neal pay particular attention to that. We've got our media manager, Jock Waddington, doing all the website and whatever. And with between 12 people, we all have very significant roles, all doing lots and lots of stuff to make sure that tomorrow is a very pleasurable experience and a safe one as much as we can. But remember, we are walking on open roads for the majority of the race.
And in terms of entries this year, it's around 1,250 or just over, I think, by my reckoning. So how good is that to see over 1,200 people coming back to this yet again? Yeah,
the numbers have stabilised between 1,200, 1,300. So that's pretty much how the race is going to be in the future. I think the heady days of 1,950 in that post-COVID year, that was an abnormality. But we're quite pleased with the entry level. It means that our infrastructure can handle it. The amount of traffic on the road won't be chaotic as usual, and we think that we'll have everything just right.
Each year it is the Parish Walk, one of the biggest mass participation events that the Isle of Man has. So what continues to make it so special in that regard? Why do so many people still want to keep taking part?
Well, I think doing anything together, and whatever it is, in a large group, that adds a certain atmosphere, and that's the one thing. Down at the start, that's absolutely palpable. Everybody's excited, everybody's wondering what they're going to do, talking to their fellow walkers, etc., etc. So that's one thing. It brings out the best in the Isle of Man. the community comes out, the amount of support that people are there to do. And whilst we have some 30 official feed stations, well, there are many, many unofficial ones. We'll have the shower out at the top of the slough. There's going to be barbecues, there's going to be music, there's going to be entertainment and support coming from the local communities dotted all around the route. And I think when you see that, that gives the walkers heart, that gives them encouragement, and that gets them to the finish line where the emotion is just extraordinary. And I know that my fellow committee members wouldn't miss that for anything. Meeting, not the winners. The winners are great to applaud their fantastic athletic achievement, but all the people down 22, 23 hours, 59 minutes, they're the ones that we really enjoy seeing finish. And we embrace their achievement along with their friends and family. And if you've ever been down at the finish, as I say, you wouldn't miss it.
Let's have a look at the course. 85 miles to cover then. Some will be going for all of it, and plenty will be going for part of it, whichever objective they have. If you had to sum up where the most, I suppose, challenging and exciting parts of this walk are, where would you say they are and why?
Well, I think if you're a newcomer to the parish, maybe you're thinking about getting to Peel, the slough. Everybody talks about the slough, this infamous 7-mile uphill trek. So that's the first sort of challenge. But I know that the top walkers don't regard going uphill as being too difficult. They suffer more going downhill when their muscles and whatever are being stretched. But the slough is the first bit. For the what I would call that main body, middle to the back end of the race, they really have a mental thing about the slough and getting up there. For the serious race walkers, I think the stretch between Derby and Bride, long stretch, narrow roads, high hedges, and every time you go around a corner, you think that's Bride Church, but of course it's not. It's getting to dusk. It's just beginning to get dark for most of the walkers. So mentally, that's a real challenge. And then, obviously, once coming up Erie Jora and coming home, that's when physically it becomes difficult. And that's where the common trait amongst all Parish Walk finishers, doggedness, single-mindedness, determined. These are the traits that we see in the finishers. They come in all shapes and sizes. They come with varying athletic ability background, but they all have that common thing in their minds that they just do not give up.
And that's one of the things, isn't it? It's that both that physical and mental balance. But, you know, talking about, like, say, those who are looking to go all the way, and some of them they reach the finish line. Plenty of them do. Just what's that feeling like, knowing that you've completed something like that?
Quite remarkable. I finished once back in 1994. But, of course, I actually thought I was only going to go as far as Santon. I had been injured and I had no mental targets. I wasn't racing. I was just seeing how I felt and went from point to point, which I think is really important for people, not to get hung up about, I've got to be at Rushen by such and such a time, I've got to be in Derby. Really walk according how you feel with your body, and literally point to point, because mentally looking at the 85-mile finish, that can be a bit overwhelming. And we do see, well, quite good race walkers crumble. And that's, as you say, both a mental and a physical challenge.
We've talked about a lot of things there. We've talked about the community spirit of the Parish Walk, the atmosphere, the challenge that people set themselves, taking on all or part of the course. But if you had to sum up in a couple of sentences why people should take part in the Parish Walk and spectate the Parish Walk, what would you say to people?
Well, come out and you can see the Isle of Man in its best light.
Well, it's been a week to remember already for Manx cyclist Lizzie Holden, who was crowned this year's Elite Women's British National Time Trial Champion yesterday at the event in Darlington. That was part of the 2023 British National Road Championships, which continue this weekend. Well, earlier today, I caught up with Lizzie to find out just how it feels to have taken that prestigious title.
Yeah, still, like, when you say it out loud, then it still feels a bit crazy. Like, all the girls that have had it over the years, and I've been like, wow, they're at, like, the top level. Like, I've always looked up to them, and now to me it feels a bit strange, but yeah, it's very special.
Did you feel as the time trial was going on, did you feel that this is actually feeling like a pretty good run and taking up some good pace here?
Yeah, like, I had a plan going into it, like speaking with my coach and like other people that I've worked with over the years on time trials, and I had my own plan, and I had like numbers that I wanted to stick to, but you never know how it's going to actually go in the race or how you feel. But I was actually like on target going round, and I was just trying to keep relaxed and just keep doing what I could do. And yeah, going round, I actually had no idea, like, yeah, if I was up or down or whatever. I was just sticking to my own plan, and I actually only realised after like 2 minutes crossing the line when my dad came over, and I was like, did I or not? Because I had no idea.
Just on that, what was that feeling like after that tense wait, and then you got told you've actually gone and won it, you're champion? Just what was that initial feeling like?
Yeah, well, I was actually the last one to start, so I didn't have to wait too long. But yeah, it was because nobody said anything, and obviously, like with the time trial helmet and everything, all the noise, like I couldn't hear anything when I was crossing the finish line. And then yeah, when they actually told me the news, I was just a bit like, whoa, really? Like, I don't know, like I guess in cycling or any sport, like winning is not always that common. So when it actually happens, feels a bit strange.
Where does this particular win rank in your cycling career so far, would you say?
Probably my best result so far, I'd say. Like I said before, like I've always been up there or like second. I've had a lot of second and thirds over the years. And yeah, I think this is my first professional win. So yeah, it's super special.
That's not you done at the championships. You're part of the, you're representing UAE Team ADQ, your team throughout the season. You'll be involved in the big road race on Sunday. So how are you feeling ahead of that?
Yeah, good, I think. I think now I've got the time trial out of the way, and it went so well. Like I feel a bit less nervous and just like want to go into it and just enjoy it. And I have nothing to lose, really. I think it'll be strange racing alone, like with no teammates, but also I think it will make the race really open. And I know there's a lot of girls in the same position. So yeah, I just had a look around the course earlier actually, and it's a really tough circuit. So I think it will be definitely the strongest person that wins on Sunday.
And of course, you're not the only Isle of Man competitor taking part in these championships. Several Isle of Man competitors across the men's and the women's, both in the senior level and the under-23s. Your Manx teammate from Birmingham, Jessie Carriage, is involved with her team in the road race as well. How good is it to see so many Manx cyclists again in these championships?
Yeah, really good. And I think normally Becky would be there also, but she has other big races coming up. So even just, the fact that there's 3 girls from the Isle of Man, like, it's incredible. And like even just the women's side in general, like the national championship years ago used to have maybe like 60 girls on the start line, and I think this year is like 130 women or something. But yeah, from the Isle of Man, definitely it's very crazy that so many riders come out of like the top level, and people always ask what the secret is, but I don't really know the answer to that.
You moved to UAE Team ADQ ahead of this new season, so just very generally, how's it been so far with your new team?
Yeah, it's been really good. It's been a big change. I guess last year I was at most races I had like my own opportunities to see where I could finish, whereas this year I've been mainly working for like the leaders in the team, which I also really enjoy, but it's been a whole new experience. So I've learned a lot, that's for sure, but they've been really good and really supportive of everything.
Well, we're continuing our countdown to the 2023 Ireland Games in Guernsey, catching up with the Isle of Man teams. Latest is Isle of Man basketball. They have the chance to make their mark at the event with both its men's and women's teams. So I spoke to men's team member Peter Boussougou and women's team captain Becky Dunne to get their thoughts.
We're all looking forward to it an awful lot. Obviously, it's been quite a long layover from the 2019 Gibraltar Island Games. So we've all been really looking forward to this one. The preparation's been great and all the boys are raring to go.
Like you say, it's been quite a few years since the last one. You were almost a development player going into the last one. Now you're very much a core member of the squad. So I suppose between now and then going into Guernsey, what are the big sort of things you've had in your game that's, I suppose, built up to that level?
I think for myself, it's more just like learning the game more, learning how to work with the team, improving my fitness levels, getting myself a little bit stronger in the gym and everything like that. So I think on that aspect, I've progressed quite an awful lot, obviously, from Gibraltar. And from now to the games, it's more looking at fitness, integration with the team, and just getting there, improving my shooting, and I think as a team we're quite balanced, so we're looking well.
Speaking of the team as well as yourself as an individual, what are the big things you think you're going to take to Guernsey? How are you going to trouble other nations there, do you think?
Well, I think we're quite a young team, which is good. We're quite athletic. We've got good legs to us, so we're quite happy to run the lanes and use that quite well. Shooting wise, we're pretty decent as well. We've got some really good shooters on the team, and so I think we're going to bring that to other teams and see how they fare with us.
Now, there are plenty of different sports out there with athletes who have never experienced an Island Games before. You've already done that. So what are the best things about the experience of going to the Island Games?
I think it lives up to the name that it's given with the friendly games. Like, I think everyone who's there are great people, be able to have a conversation with anyone, which I think is absolutely amazing. And I think as well, obviously, to do something so great in such a small area and small time period, it's just incredible. And I think obviously going back to back and days you're playing game after game after game, it's just a great feeling. It brings you together as a team, as sort of like a brotherhood or a sisterhood, so to speak. And I think that's great for anyone to experience.
And speaking of the schedule, it is very intense for a lot of the sports. You could be playing game after game, day after day. So how do you prepare for that? How's it different to, say, competing in the local leagues?
I think it's a lot harder to prepare because obviously local leagues you're playing about once a week, you're training maybe once or twice a week as well. Whereas to go back to back is quite a hard task. However, I think sort of you can, well, as long as you set your mind to it, you can sort of get through it. And as I said before, that brotherhood that you sort of make with your teammates helps you or propels you to be ready for the next game, be ready for the next day, the next training session, and in essence fight for everything that's there.
For you personally and for the team as well, what would you class as success out in Guernsey?
That's a great question. I think success-wise would just be to sort of hang with the best of them. I mean, obviously we've looked at our group, we've got quite a tough group in some aspects, and some of the teams that we are playing have won gold before, have won bronze before, so to go out there and just to have a good crack at them, I think personally it'd be great to just get out there and look at one of their couple of players and say, listen, I'm going to guard them and do my best with them. And I think as a team we're going to do our best with that as well. And I think that's a great aspect to have.
Well, Becky, thanks for taking a few minutes just to chat with us. So the women's basketball team, preparations being taken up or not. As a team, how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, it's kind of come around pretty quick considering obviously with COVID we had it delayed. Suddenly it's upon us. Preparations have been going well. We've got kind of a 10-man squad going out for these games, and we've been it was just before Gibraltar we entered into the men's league, senior men's league, because numbers had dwindled a little in terms of a women's league, so we entered into the senior men's league to kind of give ourselves a game and to really push our game on, and it's been really good. They've welcomed us in. We've had some really tough games, but then over actually the last year we've also managed to take a few wins in that, which has meant that we've seen our progress as a team as well. So hopefully going into these games will be kind of where we want to be.
Going into the senior men's league as well, that must have taught you so much as a group in terms of as you're building your own skills personally or as a team. That must be a great experience.
Yeah, it's definitely an experience sometimes. You know, there's some aspects in those games when you look at scores, maybe it looked like we took a bit of a beating, but actually if you took away maybe height or actual just difference in physicality, the games could have been quite a lot more even. But it's definitely given us a new dimension to our game. So, you know, where we would normally, if we played women, have some taller players, would be able to pop the ball inside. We weren't able to do that, so we were looking at a drive and dish game, a shooting outside game. So definitely, and on defence, I think the biggest thing we learned is to box out, because, you know, when you've got a team of 5-6 foot men coming in against you, you've got to do something to try and stop them getting the ball. So I've been going to the Island Games for basketball since I was 16, so me and Vice Captain Lauren Ellison, we were selected to go under Graham Bassett at the age of 16 to Rhodes. That was an experience in itself. You know, we didn't maybe get much game time going in as kind of new players. It was really to build our own development, but just the whole experience of the Island Games was such a great tournament to be involved in, not only for the level of sport but just for the feel of the games, meeting people. You know, I've still got friends now that I met in those games.
What would you class as success for the women's basketball team at the Island Games?
The draw we've got is, you know, a good group. There's some good teams coming in for the women's competition. We've pulled Guernsey, which is always going to be tough. You know, they've beaten us in the past. The last games we beat them, so it's kind of could go either way. And obviously they'll have the home crowd, which I know will be amazing. You know, they'll pull a big crowd. And Faroe Islands we've never seen play before, so this is their first games for women's basketball since I've been involved. So it's exciting to see a new team coming in. We are hoping that we can, put up some good matches, maybe take 1 or 2 wins that'll then put us in contention to get a medal, whether that be kind of silver or bronze. But it's just all about, we're just going to take it game by game and, see where we can get ourselves and put ourselves in the best position.
Meanwhile, after a memorable 2022, the Isle of Man swimming team will be hoping for more success at the Guernsey Games next month. Their team manager is Erica Bellhouse. She explained to me where she thinks the key strengths of her team lie.
We've got a really strong team, quite a mix of experience. A lot of our Commonwealth athletes are, I'm really happy to say, desperate to get to Guernsey, and I think that's really important because we've got quite a lot of new and younger swimmers coming in that haven't experienced games like this before. So to have the experience of some of our Commonwealth athletes on the team, I think that will be fantastic and help with that progression and that development through the sport.
This seems to be a theme with quite a lot of the sports in terms of getting that blend of both youth, in terms of getting them into an international event for the first time, and those experienced figures that might be even pushing for medals depending on what sport and which class they're in. So why is that important for the Island Games?
Well, I think for me, and obviously I've come out of last year's Commonwealth in Birmingham, it's fantastic. The Island Games, I think, is what makes things so unique for us over here, to have that ability every 2 years to take teams to Island Games. It's the time, it's that experience that you can't compare it. So then I think when we have athletes catapulting onto the next level to Commonwealth, they've had that experience, they've had that development, and for me there's nothing like learning through experience, and to have those really experienced athletes. I think all of the sports across the island just find that a brilliant learning tool.
In terms of the athletes you've got out there, what are the biggest strengths of them, would you say, as a group?
Well, the fact that I think the lovely thing about swimming is the majority of our team train day in, day out. So again, we've got our development athletes swimming 6 sessions a week with our Commonwealth athletes. We've got a few returning swimmers, as in some that are away at university, but even they spend all of their holidays here with the team, swimming with them, training with them. So I think that's fantastic. Obviously, it's no surprise that getting a team to Guernsey is expensive. And I think what's been nice is there's been a real community, a real fundraising effort, which has brought the swimmers together, brought the families together, and I think builds that team spirit going into the Games.
Now, I don't think we can really have a conversation with you without mentioning Birmingham 12 months ago. Now, of course, for Team Isle of Man, you were the chef de mission, so you had a huge task in overseeing every single sport, every single aspect. Now you've got this focus purely on the swimming team going into the Island Games. How does this particular job differ to how it was preparing for Birmingham?
You say it's different, but I guess it's not really. It's the same things, it's the same skills. This will probably be a little bit more focused, but in terms of all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes is very much the same, and I can bring that experience that I had in Birmingham to, I'm saying it's obviously a smaller event, but more focused. And for me, I'm actually really looking forward to spending a little bit of time with our development athletes. We've got some athletes going that are quite young, and looking forward to helping coach them through their first experience, and hopefully some of them might come with me to Victoria in a few years' time. So that for me, I'm looking forward to it.
Lots of people talk about the Island Games, whichever sport it's concerned about this special connection with the Island Games that the Isle of Man has, and also that the Isle of Man has with other nations who take part in it. From just your personal perspective, what does make the Island Games so special?
I think going back to what I said earlier, it is just that amazing ability to use it as a platform to develop our athletes and other similar sized nations. So I probably bore people with I do think the Isle of Man, just the way that we perform at the Commonwealth Games is exceptional. But I think it's that inbuilt, the fact that we've got athletes that have done this every other year, going to Island Games, and we can partner with other nations of a similar size. I just think it's so unique, it's fantastic.
That's all we have time for on Friday Sport Preview this week. Have yourself a wonderful Friday evening, and thank you for listening. And also have a wonderful weekend, a Parish Walk weekend as well. Chris Kinley's here with you next. But from me, until next time, bye for now.
The nation's